Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of RuneNews. I am your host, Ryan, and as always, it's bloody good to have you guys in the audience here today. And this week, Jagex has given us arguably the single biggest update for 2024. I don't think there's anything coming this year, potentially so far, that is going to top the combat changes, especially for PVM in general. This is a very big update. Very big changes have come to Oldschool Runescape. Some are saying it is the evolution of combat, which is mostly just me being an asshole, but some are still saying it. So I have a question for you to answer in the comment section down below. If you don't mind taking a couple of seconds to let me know which part of this update you're looking forward to the most. Is it the range changes with the new damage and the new weaknesses that are available? The maze changes with the new elemental changes and the, I guess, redistribution of the occult damage? Or is it my favorite, the Elder Maul buff? Let me know in the comment section down below. Hit the like and subscribe button while you're down there. I would greatly appreciate the support. 100,000 subs by the end of the year is honestly something I didn't think I could ever achieve, but I reckon we can fucking smash it. Thank you again for coming by to RuneNews this week, guys. My name is Ryan. Let's get into the update this week for RuneNews. You're watching RuneNews and you're watching RuneNews. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is it. The Project Rebalance combat changes. Now, if you are new to the channel here at KINGCONDOR on YouTube, congratulations. Your life's about to get a whole lot fucking better. But for everyone else, you've definitely heard me talk about this millions of times because I haven't shut the fuck up about the combat changes for many weeks and months now. So I won't drag it out too long, but we'll give you a brief TLDR so you know exactly what's going on. Starting off with the NPC defense changes. There's a garbage video there if you can watch if you want to. We've got elemental weaknesses. This is coming to the standard spell book in Oldschool Runescape. Just the standard spells from air to fire. And what this means is basically all air, water, earth, and fire spells will have the same max hit. Now, they're all going to have the same as the original fire spell max hit was. So Air Strike and Fire Strike will have the same max hit provided you have the ability to cast the fire spell and so on. Some creatures are going to have elemental weaknesses like adamant dragons here. The basic rule is to just check the fucking wiki, but the second basic rule is that if it's a metal dragon, it's likely all metal dragons will have the same weakness. Chromatic dragon, all chromatic dragons will have the same weaknesses. If it's something to do with fire, guess what? Water puts fucking fire out. You get the drill. So, for example, it says 50% earth weakness. What this means is a 50% increase in accuracy and damage for earth spells from the standard spellbook. So if you've got a monster you want to check out, don't worry, there's a comprehensive list here of air weaknesses. Barrows, agencies, ghosts, skeletons all have weaknesses to air, but the numbers vary. Water weaknesses to chromatic dragons, lava dragons, anything demonic, pyre fiends, fire giants. Fire makes sense. Drakes and giant mole is weak to water, I guess because of the whole, just think Pokemon, that's an easy way to put it. Earth has weaknesses for metal dragons, water fiends, and worms. And fire weaknesses go for giant spiders, anything to do with ice, including ice trolls, demons, giants, ice fiends, and ice warriors, moss giants, mountain trolls, scarab swarms, Vespula, the abyssal portal, you get the picture, the nightmare totem, Kefri, and her arcane, who the fuck is Kefri? Oh, TOA, Kefri and her arcane soldier and spitting scarabs, and then of course, Zora also has a weakness to the fire spell. This obviously helps people with the Tome of Fire and the nightmare harmonized orb, so there's a decent list there on the website, which you can go check out again. I'm sure the wiki will have all the information for you. Elemental spell scaling, like I said earlier, the max hit will be determined by either your mage, will be determined by your mage level, but the air, water, earth, and fire spells will all now share the same max hit across the board, regardless of gender, which is huge. Ranged defense types. Now, this is where some people are getting a little bit confused and a little bit worried. Here's what's happening. To the best of my knowledge, nothing is getting stronger against range. Range will still be as powerful as it always has been. There's just certain ammunitions that are going to be even more powerful. So it's nothing but a buff for everyone in the game. You're going to have heavy attack styles, which is bolts and javelins. Standard, which is arrows, including the bowfer, the crystal bow, and all that garbage. And then you've got light range attacks, which is darts, knives, and anything else that you're throwing, like throwing axes. And the Totzil. So just keep that in mind when you see heavy, standard, and light. And what does that mean? Here's another list of good things for you. Now, Commander Ziliano's had a ranged heavy weakness reduced. Basically, look at all this here. Okay, what you can see is everything has had their weaknesses reduced towards a certain range attack style. So if you were bowfering something or using a T-bow, It's still going to be the exact same after this update, but it might be better to use a crossbow now, or a ballista. Who knows? I'm not sure how it's going to scale yet. I'm sure the people on the wiki and on Twitter and Reddit will figure that out for you guys for exact numbers. But if you're deciding between a bofa and a rune crossbow, the rune crossbow might now be the choice with the heavy range weakness being reduced. So I guess wait and see what people can put out there. See what these changes can bring to the board, because this is really going to change the mid to semi-late game PVM grind. But as I said, the end game isn't going to be affected at all. Like, if you have pretty much got everything you need for PVM content, you shouldn't be suffering at all. If anything, this is nothing but an improvement for you. So this is huge across the board, as well as some melee combat changes. So dragons, excuse me, I'm sorry for being in the way. Dragon changes, everything dragon is now having its stab defense reduced even further, making the Dragon Hunter lance even better for a choice, especially over the Fang, which is awesome, including drakes and worms. Gargoyles of having their crush defense reduced and stab and slash defenses increased, making the whip slightly less viable, and the cudgel, the zombie axe, and the bludgeon a bit more of a desired choice for the gargoyles. Lizardmen, including brutes and shamans, have had their stab defense reduced, but you're going to range them anyway because they fuck you up if you try and melee them. Vassos having the crush defense reduced, which is awesome. Skeletal mystics having crush reduced. Basilisk Knights having their crush defense reduced, and Duke Succulus is having the slash defense reduced, making Duke an even better choice to be killed, which is just huge. That's big for the Arclight, that's big for the upcoming demon weapons, that's big for the Scythe, that's big for everyone involved. I didn't realize Duke was having his defense reduced, so that's fucking awesome. Item rebalances, or redistribution, should we say, for the magic at least. This is the controversial topic. My opinion, I guess, through this whole thing is that I don't think the occult should have been touched. I think it was fine. I think people who don't understand the game or overthink unnecessary parts of the game were complaining about this, and now it's become a problem, and Jagex has felt the need to change it. However, I will say Jagex has done a really good job at redistributing this and balancing this change, that it is acceptable. I'm definitely okay with it, and I think it's fair. I think they've done a good job because they're giving back more than they're taking away, which is, in the grand scheme of things, against what people were complaining about, which is fucking hilarious. And long term, it's not actually an L for anyone in the game. So Jagex has done a good job by tackling this. People can now stop crying about the occult, and will actually just have more magic damage, which makes almost no sense. But, you know, do what you want to do, I guess, at the end of the day. The occult is basically having its magic damage reduced from 10% to 5%, while ancestral robe pieces, that's the head, body, and legs, getting a 1% increase each. Virtus, same thing, 1% increase each. And then everything on this list here, you got Infinity Robes, Dagonhai Robes, Third Age Mage Armor, Aram's Robes, Blue Moon Armor, Elder Chaos Druid and Bloodbark Armor are all getting a 1% magic damage increase per piece. I don't think this counts for boots and gloves. Pretty sure it's just head, body, and legs. I could be wrong with the Infinity Gloves and boots though. I guess we'll find out in a minute when the game's updated. Augury is getting a 4% damage buff, but that doesn't mean that the Tombing and Shadow is going from 4 to 12%. It's still 4% flat. The Tombing and Shadow does not multiply the accuracy or damage buffs from the prayers, only from gear you're wearing. It's raining outside, so if you hear a bit of rain coming through the mic, I do apologize. Otherwise, you've got Mystic Might, like the prayers. The Mage prayers are getting an increase. Mystic Might, Mystic Law getting 2 and 1% increase there. Eternal Boots, 1%. So that's why I think the Infinity Boots are not getting anything. Mage Book's getting 2%. Ancient Wyvern Shield's getting 2%. Malediction Ward's getting 2%. Seers, or Ancient Arcane Spirit Shield's getting 3%, which is massive. Seers Ring and Seers Ring Eye are getting 0.5%. Interesting. And the Elite Void set is going from 2.5% to 5%. So they've redistributed the mage gear very well. Now they've got the Soul Reaper Axe here that will no longer lose the stacks when you unequip the weapon instantly, which is awesome. And the stacks will start decrementing, going down, I guess, after 20 ticks, which is 12 seconds without attacking, or up from 10 ticks, which is 6 seconds. So you're getting twice as long now to keep the charges stored, and they don't disappear if you unequip the weapon. When stacks naturally degrade, they'll heal you for the damage you took while building up those stacks, so long as you have the axe in your inventory. So you'll still be able to heal. They basically improved the Soul Reaper Axe in many ways, more than one, which is huge. I've not had the pleasure to use it yet, so from what I've heard, everyone is really happy with these changes. The Elder Maul is getting a special attack, which is big everywhere in the game. Even in PvP, you're going to see a lot of PvP YouTubers uploading, the new combo is insane. Elder Maul into fucking G Maul. You're going to blast someone off the fucking map, and it's going to be awesome. But basically, the Elder Maul is getting a 50% special attack with 25% increased accuracy to reduce a target's defense by 35%. It is a straight buff over the Dragon Warhammer in every way. The Dragon Warhammer is nowhere near worth using now, unless you would you need the Defender in your inventory. You can make the argument, but it is not necessary anymore if you have an Elder Maul, and the spec looks dope. And I am a great inspiration for that spec because I put the suggestion forward, and Jagex went yes. So now they've given us a beautiful spec, and you're welcome for the 360 overhead fucking donk on that Elder Maul. We've got Inquisitor's Armor, which is getting a 2.5% accuracy and damage increase, only when used with the mace. Otherwise, it will act as normal, and the Ancient God Sword pretty much has only changed in the Wilderness. You're pretty much only going to get 15 health back when speccing in PvP now. Almost everything else, you're going to get 25 health back. That's the best way to run that down. The Tomes of Fire and Water will now boost their respective elements by 10% against NPCs, down from 50%. They'll still boost their damage by 50% and 20% respectively against players. Excuse me, what the fuck is that? Oh yeah, right, that's to balance it for the elemental weaknesses. Makes sense, my apologies. Basically, use them on elemental weaknesses and they'll be just as fucking good. No real problem there. Dragon Warhammer is now 1 in 3,000 instead of 1 in 5,000 from Shamans, regardless. And the minimum hit, so this is how this works. Some people get confused. When you attack in RuneScape, just a quick ramble, sorry. It's a big update. I'm apologizing right now for rambling because this is just going to drag on. It's going to be a long episode of RuneNews, so please bear with me. Anyways, back to what I was saying. Basically, when you attack in RuneScape, you have a chance to hit or miss. If you miss, it's a 0. If you hit, it's anywhere between 0 and your max hit. Jagex is removing that 0. So now you're only hitting a 0 if you miss. If you hit, it's between 1 and then 1 to your max hit. So you can still hit, you basically have 2 rolls of 1 and then every other hit up to your max hit. So the higher your max hit is, the less it matters, but the lower your max hit, the more beneficial this buff is. But what it's doing is essentially just removing a few zeros to allow you to accommodate for more damage and just to be more aware of when you're actually hitting things like the Elder Maul and Dragon Warhammer spec. You don't realize you're hitting and reducing defense unless you have a plugin telling you, because it's like, am I actually hitting the boss? Or am I hitting a 0? Or am I missing with a 0? So it's just good to have that peace of mind. Can't really complain. There's a Cursed Magic Amulet, which is a 1 in 5 drop rate from Necromancer south of Shazen to reduce your magic damage by 80%. Some niche garbage no one cares about. Reduce the prayer drain for the lower level prayers, which no one cares about either. That's for garbage account builds. NPC autocast. So at the moment, if you are autocasting with spells, like with a staff and it's autocast set, there's a 1 tick delay on the first attack, then you'll start doing a 5 tick cast attack cycle. Now, they're getting rid of that 1 tick delay. Basically, autocasting's better now. Like, it was an unnecessary thing to have in the game. It was a kind of skill-based to get around it. A small element of skill-based content, which is basically more focused in PvP, or some serious unnecessary or niche high-end PvM. So now, basically, it's just better in every way, so I wouldn't stress. Basically, autocasting's better. Shut the fuck up. Baba Puzzle Room is improved dramatically. From now on, the enemies, the Brawler, Thrower, and Mages will have these specific HPs for the weak baboons at the start of the puzzle room, and then in the later waves, this is their HP, and you'll always max hit depending on the appropriate attack triangle cycle. And it doesn't matter how big your raid level is or how many people are in your raid. This is always the case. No matter what, whether you're 1 person on a 0 invocation or 8 people on a 500 invocation, this is the same numbers all the way through from what I'm understanding from this blog, which I hope is the case. And then the other baboons, they just are normal, I guess. There's not really too much to share there. You can't, there's no guaranteed max hit there. I think they are reducing the health of those as well. None of these enemies in the path will scale with raid level or group size. There you go. So the hit point values you see here should be consistent in every single Tomb of Masket's run, sorry. So that's awesome. This also applies to NPCs not listed. Okay, so the other baboons also have fixed HP, probably similar to this. I'll assume 25 to 30 HP, maybe 30 to 35, and then that's it across the board. They won't ever change. Big update. Puzzle Room is becoming slowly better and better rather than just changing it. They're just, I mean, that's big. That's a fat fucking dub. And for Sunny Nightmare is getting a 41% increase in drop rates, basically. Both Nightmares are actually. Now it's the time to start doing the Nightmare. Thank fucking God. Avis devices will now apply their ammo saving effect to javelins. as they do for other ammo types, which makes sense. Javelins used to just break. Now they can be saved, which is good. Other changes. To be honest, no one gives a fuck. Moving on, there's a board game if you want to play that shit. And Osworlds are back on LMS, which means Daddy's getting racist on livestream, which you can come and check out on this channel 5 days a week. Massive update for Oldschool Runescape. Really big. But, of course, we all know why you're here on RuneNews this week. It's not because of the Oldschool Runescape content. It's because of what's coming next. And what's coming next is definitely going to take you by surprise. So, thank you for checking out this part of RuneNews so far on RuneNews. We're going to now move on to the RuneScape 3 segment for RuneNews. You're watching RuneNews and you're watching RuneNews. The reality is a lot of people on the internet think RuneScape 3 is fucking dog shit. And the truth is, yeah, I could probably agree with you. The game is fucking dog shit. And that's because RuneScape 3 doesn't really offer a lot of content that doesn't make me want to say anything other than the fact that the game is fucking dog shit. So at the end of the day, regardless of what you think or what you hear, what you know about RuneScape 3, even if you haven't played RuneScape 3, the #1 rule on the internet is to remember that it's fucking dog shit. And you don't need to get that from here, you don't need to hear that from me, you don't need to know about RuneNews to know that RuneScape 3 is fucking dog shit. You just need to know that when you hear the words RuneScape and 3 in a sentence, immediately it's fucking dog shit. So I guess this week's RuneScape update for RuneNews and RuneScape 3 is that RuneScape 3 is fucking dog shit. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Grand Exchange segment for RuneNews. My name is Wade Green, and the mole slippers are on the fucking rise, and I fucking told you they would be. 1.2 mil, and this is just the fucking beginning. These boys are going to the moon, and you should have invested down here when your boy said buy the mole slippers. But don't worry, it's not too late, because this point here, we'll be down here next week, because we'll be flying upwards. We got mole slippers hitting 30 mil a pair this time next year, or unsubscribe, mark my fucking words. So grab yourself some mole slippers today and become a rich cunt tomorrow. Next up, we've got the Christmas crackers on the biggest losses. Now, these are continuing to drop. However, I believe they're worth less than 1 mil on the Grand Exchange, meaning if you can buy yourself some Christmas crackers for like even 800k, 400k, you can throw them in desk coffer and make yourself some mint coin. However, people are going to start panic buying this as soon as this episode uploads, so you might even want to give it another day or two. But just note, once you buy them for less than what they're saying on the Grand Exchange. If it says they're worth 1 mil and you get it for anything less than that, you can throw it in desk coffer and make a mean profit. Wait, no. Yeah, that's correct. Sorry, I've got brain damage. Because whatever it says on the Grand Exchange, even like as the price guide, will be what it is in desk offer plus 5%. So that's how you make your money there. And then finally, the sorry but axe is skyrocketing because of today's update, like the combat changes. So keep your eyes on the Skyraf Mage. Excuse me, I've been playing a lot of Dota 2 recently. Keep your eye on the Soul Reaper axe because this boy is going to send it to the moon. I'm not sure how much higher it's going to go. It could actually settle around 400 mil, but it's become a much more versatile and usable slash weapon now. People are going to be donking around the place. Definitely worth grinding this weapon out now for Desert Treasure 2 if you want to make some easy money. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is it this week for RuneNews. My name is Wade Green. I appreciate your time. Thank you for coming by to the RuneNews segment for Wade Green on Grand Exchange this week for RuneNews. You're watching Wade Green, and this is Wade Green on RuneNews, and you're watching Wade News. Our first Iron Man moment for the week goes to someone who got a Jad pet on KC number 5. What's his name? I don't know, I can't see it. But he got KC5, Jad pet, GZ. Next up, we have Nutzak getting the Bloodhound pet on 10KC of the Master Clue Scroll. Very big, very nice. And then finally, we got Dai Hugh here posting back-to-back screenshots, 2 in a row. He got the pet from CG, and then the next KC, he got the Enhanced Weapon Seed in, I believe, 198 KC, I think it was. Looks like it. Can't tell, because he can't take a screenshot to save his fucking life, but doesn't matter because that's the end of RuneNews this week. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching RuneNews. My name is Ryan. I appreciate you guys. I'm going to go smash some content out in the game. And again, if you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, I'd really appreciate that too. My name is Ryan. You're watching RuneNews, and you're watching RuneNews. This is the easiest move in the raid. It's quite simple. You got a big boy. Look at him. God damn. Fuck me. Look at that boy.